Well, this is either going to be the climax or the finale of O-dey-oh Ninjas. And I have just realized the entire time I've been saying O-dey-oh, and it's pronounced O-dey-oh. But to be fair, I'm pretty sure it's been misspelled a couple times when it has been in the subtitles, and it's being pronounced O-dey-oh in the subtitles. But it's actually O-dey-oh. So I feel really stupid. To say that this episode didn't have its moments would actually be an absolute understatement. There was some insane stuff in this episode that is going to be really kind of exploding the lore, I think, of Ninjala going forward, and seeing what characters are going to do within each other's groups, I should say the least. This was actually a pretty good episode. It almost kind of felt like another season finale in a way, but this was like a big wrap up to their setup in part 1 of O-dey-oh Ninjas. So yeah, we're gonna talk about episode 26 and what I really enjoyed about it, what I think is gonna end up happening going forward, because as you guys know, we might not be doing this series too much longer, at least to the extent that I've been doing it every week. Either way, hello ladies and gentlemen and all the core gamers out there, CAJman777 here, and welcome back to another Ninjala anime discussion. Today we're talking about episode 26, and we're just gonna get right into it. So if you guys, of course, are enjoying the Ninjala content here on the channel, do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button. Let's get into the episode. We're starting off with a very easy opening where we're starting off exactly where we left off in the end of O-dey-oh Ninjas Part 1. Here we go! Back in the cavern. Emma's just straight up unconscious.
Emma. じいちゃん、どうしよう。出ろ、出ろ。お、ルーシー。
Hey!
大丈夫？とりあえずね。こっちが聞きたいっての。誰かなんとかしてよ。
The sound of her voice getting really concerned.
怪我はしてない。息もちゃんとしてる。だったら多分気絶してるだけよ。すぐに目を覚ますわ。ならいいんだけど。おお、そしたバートン、どこにいるの？ベレッカとロンは？みんな無事だよ。ここは。
Either way, we start exactly where we left off in the last episode, where our characters are fully separated, and we have Jane, Van, and Kappei at the top. With Gen Unsai, we have Emma and Lucy down below. Emma is currently unconscious, as we know, when Lucy saved Emma. And then we have the group of Ron, Bereka, and Burton together, which I figured they were going to do at least for this episode setup. And our episode begins by trying to establish where all the characters are, and just trying to establish contact between the two characters. But Van tries to contact everybody down below. Now, initially I thought, okay, well, they're not going to be able to get in contact with them because the Shadow Ninja have been jamming communications. But that's not entirely true. The Shadow Ninja have been jamming communications from the outside in, or the inside out. They haven't been jamming the communications from inside to inside, which is probably why all their characters are able to contact each other on their Maki phones. And they're able to do that, and what they do is they basically establish, is everybody okay? Where is everybody? Lucy's wondering if anybody can, get to them. Jane is concerned about Emma because obviously she was not going to contact with the bomb in the last episode, so that's a big thing. And then you have Burton, Bereka, and Ron jumping in on the call, and you find out that they actually can't escape because, for whatever reason, the pit they fell down into suddenly has a ceiling above it with a cross section that will not allow them to climb it, even though there are clearly gaps in the ceiling. Did they fall? How did... Okay, they fell down into a cavern, but there's two bridges preventing them from getting back up? They would have had to fall through to go through. It's weird. Either way, they're kind of trapped down there and they kind of have to find their own way out. But we'll actually find that this green glow that they fell through in the area in the... Obviously, the bridge that was broken and they fell down. And then they fell through this gap. We're actually going to find out that this green glow plays a very important part in the episode, and I initially thought, it's just a lighting effect, but no, it actually has a very important part for something we're going to see later in the episode. So that's at least where we establish the beginning of all of our characters. They're trying to, regroup, recuperate, and then they're going to make their way out of there, because the only reason they were going there was to kind of escape the Shadow Ninja, grab the rest of the group, and head home, because they thought the Shadow Ninja were going to be a problem. And they are, because in the very next scene, of course, we get back up to the extermination squad of the Oniwabanshu, dealing with some Shadow Ninja, and one of the members of the Oniwabanshu reports to another member of the Oniwabanshu who is dealing with one of the Shadow Ninja. And you don't know what he says, but he's clearly, the mainly group person of this extermination squad is saying, send a report to the top. So we don't know what exactly they're doing, but you can kind of assume based on what this member of the Shadow Ninja extermination squad from the Oniwabanshu says. He goes, you're going for meteorites, never took you for archaeologists, I wonder what you want it for. As the Shadow Ninja replies, you'll find out soon enough. And this kind of is like a conflict with the WNA's Oniwabanshu and the Shadow Ninjas. They will be fighting throughout the entirety of this episode, and they start to engage in a long drawn-out battle. And what I really like is there's a couple cool callbacks in this episode to previous things as well, like how they did in the last episode, and I kind of like that they're doing it. You can kind of see the visuals are improving as well as the episodes have gone on. Granted, there is some off-model stuff here and some really squiggly lines in some of the shots, and we'll get to that when we get to that, but I like the callbacks, I like the references that they're doing here. It seems like they're doing it more and more because they have this big establishment on the characters, and for a big wrap-up episode, kind of like how this feels, in a way where it feels like a season finale, it kind of is moving into the next arc, I guess, of the Ninjala story. But what I like about the callback here is when the Shadow Ninja starts to engage this member of the Oniwabanshu, does the same thing that Ron does, because as you remember, Shadow Ninja are exiled members of the WNA, so some of them have, obviously, they're ninjas, so they've had ninja training and they've had stuff like that. So it does the same shadow clone technique that Ron did, which I thought was really cool. It was a nice little callback.
隕石の採掘か。貴様らはいつから考古学者になった。どうせその目的はろくなものではあるまい。ろくなものでないかどうか、いずれわかる。
Okay. Wow, that looks very similar to something a certain ninja character trained with the Oniwabanshu did so long ago. Ron? So as that fight begins, we actually get a cut back to Alan. Alan and one of the members of the Oniwabanshu. And this is very interesting because Alan is currently sitting in this room. He's kind of on the phone. And he's obviously talking to one of the members that is currently in O-dey-oh. He says, that's so, keep investigating. So that's like one of the big things. Obviously, he's in contact with the people back then. As he gets a report of one of his ninjas, his actual quarters, I guess, in the WNA headquarters. And Alan's intrigued on this meteorite, wondering why the Shadow Ninja are going for it. But obviously, we know Alan probably wants this meteorite for his own purposes, or wants to use it or understand it for his own purposes. As we get another member of the Oniwabanshu coming into Alan's quarters and asking this member who comes into Alan's quarters, send every available ninja of the extermination squad that we have in O-dey-oh to that excavation site. I want answers, pretty much. And obviously, he probably is going to go give that report to the members of, of the extermination squad who are in O-dey-oh. Obviously, they have very fast contact methods. Alan really wants this location. He really wants this meteorite for something. Obviously, it's for his own ends, but we don't know what. What I find interesting about this, though, is that this same member that Alan was talking to of his Oniwabanshu division then goes over to Luke. You don't see his face again, but you go to see Chief Luke of the WNA, and this sets up something for later in the episode that I have waited for so long. And while it is brief, oh my god, we're gonna have to talk about it because it is so sick. It is one of the things that I have wanted to see for one of the longest times, and we finally get a little sneak peek of it here. Doing it for his own gain as usual. Interesting. They told Luke as well? So we cut back then to Van, Kappei, and Jane, and Gen Unsai goes to, go forward and make sure the way is clear. Jane is wondering, is he going to be okay? And obviously Gen Unsai, he has that experience with the ninja. Then we get a nice little emotional tie scene, the event that happened in the last episode where Van rescued Kappei from a burning building. And Kappei finally learns the reason why Van did what he did. And it's really sweet to see, you know, they're again, Van and Kappei are the rival characters with each other in the animated series, but they still have this friendliness to them that, you know, they've, over all their missions and adventures that they've had so far in the anime, they've become really good friends. And Kappei actually gets really emotional on this, and then you have Van and Kappei butt heads again, and it was actually really cute.
助けてくれたお礼だ。さっきはありがとな。そういやお前、あの時変なこと言ってたよな。あんな思いをするのは二度とごめんだ。あんな思いってなんだ？
Is he gonna tell him?
何かあるなら姉さんに話してごらんなさい。
同じ状況だったんだ。あの時と。
Wow, they're actually gonna go through with it.
不甲斐ないせいで。
Usually they just don't tell him. Usually it gets told off screen.
あなたのせいじゃないわ。
俺決めたんだ。強くなるって。父さんみたいな忍者になって。だからアカデミーに入学した。
I'm actually glad they did that.
俺もうあんな思いをするのは絶対に嫌なんだ。
カッペ。
なんで泣いてんだよ。別に同情してるわけじゃねえからな。
Really nice. At least there's a connection between the characters now, more so than, you know, Van and Kappei's connection. We knew why Kappei came to the academy, but Kappei didn't know why Van initially came to the academy, and now he knows. So now there's the mutual respect between the two characters that kind of will, you know, kind of builds their friendship more so, as well as their rivalry, which I think is really nice. Obviously, they're going to strengthen themselves out. Then we get a scene with Burton, Rana, and Baraka, and Baraka shows, and basically the scene starts and Baraka's explaining that they found exactly, you know, where Sean met his end, and Baraka pulls out the bell that Kappei found, and Burton is wondering, isn't it the bell Goro wears? And Baraka goes, no, it's the same bell, but it's the one my father had as well. So it's kind of like a closure thing on the fact that maybe Baraka's father is actually dead. I'm still going to be skeptical on this to say that Baraka's father is not actually dead and is more in hiding. Until I get like 100% confirmation that Baraka's father is dead, which I don't think we'll get for this anime, honestly. I'm going to hold my word to it where Baraka's father maybe is in hiding, kind of like how Leonard was for a while. And again, we haven't seen Leonard, but I do think we will see Leonard again sometimes going forward in that. So you get a little scene between Baraka and Burton kind of explaining the bell. And I'm going to go out on the same limb and say that this bell that Baraka is currently holding from her dad is going to go back on Goro's collar, because in the Ninjala game, Goro still has his bell on the collar, if I recall correctly. So Baraka probably is going to put it back on Goro as a memento, but again, remember the other bell helped make the Ninja Gum. And there's this big thing with the Meteorite that the story goes that the Meteorite crashes into the Earth. It is like a meteorite that initially drew the Ninja Gum drew the Space Ninja because it has the same material from a meteorite that crashed so long ago. And this meteorite supposedly gave this area the power of Shinobi by soaking its power into the Earth. And we're actually going to get to see this later in the episode. And as this meteorite soaked power into the Earth, you started getting characters with ninja abilities. What I think happened is when Sean as well went on this expedition at first before he and Leonard went back in to, you know, study this meteorite more, Baraka's dad went out and he made the mementos for Baraka and himself, the bell. Obviously, Baraka attached the first one to Goro, and that one made the Ninja Gum. My theory in that, and I will definitely think there's some huge credibility to that, is that Sean, Baraka's dad, made both those bells out of the first meteorite stone he brought back before he went on that survey trip. Which means, if it was made, not from that meteorite, but from, like, the stone and area around the meteorite, maybe some metals inside that meteorite, specifically that, like, kind of spread throughout the Earth, giving the power of Shinobi. Inside that bell is why inside that bell, that metal bell, is more power of Shinobi, which is why it was a success to making the Ninja Gum. So, I'm kind of going to go out on a limb and say that is the main reason for that. And it's kind of a cool little tie-in, especially when we get to see it later in the episode, which is really nice to see. Then we get our scene with Lucy and Emma, and I really just like all the interactions Lucy has in this episode, because it is really shown, you really start to see Lucy's soft side here. And while we all know Lucy and Emma are really good friends, you really start to see that Lucy truly cares about a lot of the characters around her.
帰ったらアイスのダブルサイズおごりだかんな。エマいつまで寝てんのよ。起きて。
This is why I like Lucy's character.
ビリになっちゃうじゃん。
Because while Lucy seems like she's constantly crazy, she really does have a solid heart. She's good. No. A Shadow Ninja decides to attack Lucy and Emma. And Lucy, you know, very quick on her feet, dodges the Shadow Ninja, deals with the Shadow Ninja in such a way, gets her and Emma into the minecart, as well as being able to use, you know, her quick wit, her quick thinking. Lucy is such a genuinely strong character, smart and quick thinking on her feet. She kind of has like the traits of all the characters behind her. So she sticks the Shadow Ninja into the ground, is able to load her and Emma into the minecart, gives the Shadow Ninja a nice little taunt, and as she tries to escape with the minecart, the Shadow Ninja comes back, you know, unsticks himself from gum, pulls out the sword, and Lucy uses a gum guard to stop the Shadow Ninja's sword from going, deflects the sword, and the bubble pops, allowing Lucy and Emma to get sent absolutely flying, and they go for a little bit of a ride. No, never mind. That's funny. Lucy's little crazy self. That is, not an exit. Yo, quick thinking. Unfortunately, the ride ends in a very dangerous way as Emma manages to wake up from the situation, being unconscious for as long as she was, and actually ends up saving Lucy. So it was really cool, and Lucy gets this excuse saying, all right, you saved me once, but you still owe me an ice cream. And I love the confusion, the visible confusion on Emma's face, because Emma doesn't realize that Lucy is like, said earlier, Emma doesn't realize that Lucy said earlier that, oh, I saved you, you owe me one, you owe me like a double scoop ice cream after this. So Emma's really confused on that, but I like the cutesiness, and that's all we get of them. Then we get one of the most important scenes in this episode, where Bereka, Burton, and Ron are basically walking in circles as Bereka pulls out a compass, wondering, okay, why the heck is my compass pointing this way? Ron starts to realize they're walking in circles and realizes that he can feel a breeze through one of the walls, so he decides to smash the wall open. And you get some really cool visual shots coming up here. As Ron smashes the wall open with the skate hammer, they actually find the original crashed meteor, way deep in the caves of O-dey-oh. Whoa. That's pretty lighting. I like the lighting. I wish the lighting kind of reflected on the characters a little bit. They find the original meteor, and you get some really good drawing and really good lighting in this shot. I was very pleased with how everything stayed on model for the most part here in these shots, as well as the lighting, like the green glow on the characters. and the effect of the actual meteor itself, like expanding its power into the ground. It was very gorgeous to look at, very gorgeous to watch. I really appreciated that specific scene. And as they approach the meteorite, of course, things start to get a little crazy as more power from this meteorite starts to leak out, and it kind of starts to cause the cave that they're in to collapse. And as they start to escape, you realize that Ron's injury from so long ago, injury he took at his ankle way back when he, when he dealt with Alan the first time, that injury is still plaguing Ron. And it has been for the last couple episodes, as we've noticed. So Ron kind of has a quote-unquote Achilles heel in his weakness of his leg right now, because as they're trying to escape the cave, Ron slips and actually is saved by Burton and Bereka in this situation here. And obviously, with this, Burton kind of confronts Ron saying, yeah, you're still hurt, aren't you? I don't know how long you've been hurt, but you need to stop keeping things a secret. Burton's kind of getting sick of Ron being cold and, stoic and not being able to talk too much. Or as Burton kind of goes on a rant and tells him, you got to stop trying to figure out everything on your own. It's a really nice scene, because we've established before that Ron is specifically told Jane that he doesn't like the way he lets his guard down around Burton. And while I feel like that gets kind of remedied, it definitely is, like, playing into Ron's psyche, because Burton is trying to be the better person here. He is trying to help Ron constantly. And while Ron has saved Burton a couple times, he just doesn't like the way his guard is let down, but he needs to realize that working as a team is going to be the best thing. And you feel like they've done this a couple times now, but Ron just doesn't get it. He's got a very thick skull, to say the least. But he finally is going to get it at the end of this episode. But everybody manages to escape and reunite eventually back outside of this crater. Even Ron doesn't say anything after Burton tells him about this. But as they all meet up, finally into the cave, Gen Unsai finds a way down, and they manage to reunite with everybody there. That same Shadow Ninja that attacked Lucy ends up trapping 5 of our 8 main characters here, including Gen Unsai. You can tell, because Goro gets really angry. You see hiss, and it's kind of cool, because they don't animate Goro too much in the anime, but it's nice to see Goro, like, the furs on Goro's back stand up, and Goro's, like, hissing, and you can see the furs moving. It's actually really cutely animated, because you don't see Goro moving too much. It's like 2 or 3 frames, but it's really good. As this Shadow Ninja, invisible, by the way, ties everybody in some, like, quote-unquote, it's like strong spider string, and manages to trap everybody here. The Shadow Ninja comes out of invisibility and says, yes, thank you for leading me to the meteorite crater. We've been searching for it for so long, and now all of you will perish. Look at her confident smile.
Oh, どうした?
何よこれ動きね深くお前さっきの
案内ご苦労
No, that's it. You can't do that to the cat. And Goro, being the awesome ninja cat that he is, decides to jump and attack the Shadow Ninja, and the Shadow Ninja says, yeet. Goro gets thrown off the cliff, and the next thing you hear is Ron and Burton coming up, and they are angry. Bereka is pissed as well in this situation as she comes up and goes, how dare you decide to throw Goro, as Burton and Ron start to engage with the Shadow Ninja as Bereka tries to free them. And this is really cool, because obviously Ron's injury is going to be plaguing him a little bit in the beginning of this fight, and Burton tries to, engage the Shadow Ninja on his own a little bit later in this fight scene. And because Ron's so injured when Burton goes in alone, unfortunately he's not able to, do it, and have the Shadow Ninja kind of throws fire at him. They're able to dodge out of the way. And that's when Ron's injury plagues him. That's when Burton jumps in and tries to do it alone, as the Shadow Ninja kind of knocks Burton away. Burton actually saves Ron in this scene, too, with some kunai. The Shadow Ninja goes kunai at Ron, realizing that Ron is, injured. And there is a really kind of weird thing here where I've noticed they do this in the Ninjala anime a lot, where their weapon sizes seem to change at free will. Because in the previous shot, Ron had a much bigger skate hammer, but in the shot where Ron is in the background and Burton kind of walks up front with the Ippon Katana, Ron's hammer is either on the ground or he's holding it up in the air and it shrank. Having Ron and Burton do the team up now? His ankle's still killing him.
来るぞ
ここを僕に任せて。
無茶だお前一人では
それ君が言う。
バト今はお互い頼るべきかもな
And this is one of like the few really weird things I noticed in these scenes, but I still think it was really well done in the Burton. The Burton has like a big baseball swing as well earlier when they initially engage the Shadow Ninja, and as Burton gets knocked back from the same Shadow Ninja, there's another callback to when Ron and Burton then start working together here, and the callback when they're fighting in a way earlier episode when Baraka and Burton infiltrated with after they first turned into kids and they first infiltrated the WNA HQ. There's a really funny scene where Baraka absolutely just smacks Burton with the Ippon Katana, knocking him out cold and knocking him into the WNA border, but pulls Baraka with Burton to the WNA HQ. They do a similar thing here in this scene when Burton and Ron are fighting, where Burton actually gets a boost from Ron's skate hammer in almost the same way that Baraka did way back in this episode, but instead of Burton being knocked out cold, obviously Burton uses the boost from Ron's swing to absolutely destroy the Shadow Ninja and send him flying into the wall. Goro! Ninja Cat!
でかしたゴロ。
頼むぞ。
He hits him with the hammer? That's a nice little callback to something that happened long ago.
やった。
That's a nice little callback. And with that, our main characters are all reunited. They are safe, and that's good. That wraps up this portion of the episode. Everybody's free, and you get like a scrolling shot of all of them. And this is probably the most off-model shot, I would say, of the whole episode. After Goro frees Kappei from the, the spider threads. That scrolling shot, you can definitely tell all the characters, at least in some way, are off-model. Van's got this really dumb smile. Emma's probably the most on-model here. And then following that's Jane. But if you look at the drawing of Lucy here in this scene, I'll post a screenshot for you with a little bit of higher resolution so everybody can see it. If you actually look at the drawing of Lucy in this same scrolling shot, Lucy's bottom jawline is actually like swiggled. It's not even a straight line. Like, they didn't even fix it to be a clean straight line. It looks like it's a rough sketch line that they kind of maybe ran out of time to do. But that's really the extent of like the off-model stuff. Visually, there's some really appealing stuff in this episode. And after, obviously, all the characters are freed, we go back to the elite squad of the Oniwabanshu dealing with the Shadow Ninja again. And one Shadow Ninja walks into frame and he says, "I can't go on. Fall back." So the Shadow Ninja apparently have planned for an attack on this facility for so long because as the Shadow Ninja pulls out a kunai, he throws it at a button on the ceiling, which sets off a bunch of explosives, which means at some point, the Shadow Ninja were ready for this facility to be attacked, and they made emergency measures for this to be protected if need be. But with the Shadow Ninja finally retreating from the situation, obviously you know they are not completely out of the picture yet. The only thing they've lost is this excavation site as the elite squad of the Oniwabanshu is able to take this over, the Shadow Ninja Extermination Squad. So now this is going to be fully under WNA control. So they managed to escape, and they explain that later. But I think the big scene, and my favorite scene of this episode, is what happens next. Because after everybody escapes, and after Lucy saves them all, and Van compliments, Lucy, you should have seen her back when we were fighting the Space Ninja. She did the same thing. We cut to Alan overlooking Eagle City yet again, and coming from behind him is Chief Luke. And this is a confrontation that I've been waiting to see in the animated episode for so long. And we only get a little snippet of it. But man, does it whet your appetite for what might be coming later. Oh boy.
我々に一言の相談も、そして許可もなく命令を出すとは。今回の行動はさすがに目に余ります。
The same one did report.
一体どこに不満が。結果ではなくそのやり方に。相変わらずぬるいお方だ。今の WNA に必要なのは。
This is something I've been waiting for.
果たしてどちらでしょうな。
With this, so that's like a big thing with Alan says, and as Luke responds, Alan says this is the response of someone who's weak, spoken like a pushover. I wonder who really will lead the WNA, me or you. And I love this scene so much because it is establishing just Alan's true evil motivations right in front of Luke, which is absolutely insane, and it's because Luke was informed by another member of the Oniwabanshu what Alan told him, and he went to Luke. Alan doesn't know that. He probably does because he's got people like everywhere because Alan's a sleazebag, but this sets up a confrontation I think a lot of us have been waiting for and wanting to see for the longest time, and obviously we're not getting more answers for that here, but we're getting more, like, it's whetting your appetite for something that might happen. There is a running theory going on in the community right now for the Ninjala community, at least on the US side of the community, I don't know about the JP side, where they're setting up the situation for Luke to, like, cheap Luke to get ninja gummed, or even Alan or the Tsukikage to get ninja gummed. Characters that we've seen who are adults, people are thinking that some of them are intentionally going to get ninja gummed to stop Alan. They think, what I think might happen is I think Alan will be the one to take over the WNA, but it'll be the combined efforts of all the people who have been ninja gummed undoing all of that. And that's just a cool idea and a cool community theory, and I would love to see that come to fruition. I think that'd be such a really cool idea. But after this scene, we're kind of like wrapping up the episode. You get this gorgeous shot of the sunrise coming up behind, and you get a little explanations between, you know, Burton and Ron talking to Bereka about what happened. Because remember, Bereka didn't know that Alan was the one behind the reason. So now Burton and Ron explain to Bereka exactly what's happening there. And the episodes from the Tsukikage, episode 24, exactly what happened there. So those events where Burton learned that Alan is the one that actually betrayed them. So Bereka's learning this for the first time, and we finally get, like, our groups of, we get our two groups of characters, which I thought they were going to do for the longest time. We finally get our two groups of characters finally, you know, paired up. We have our younger cast of characters who have not been ninja gummed, of Kappei, Van, Lucy, and Emma, going to be working together kind of in their own group. And then we also have the other side, the characters that were adults, that were the researchers and the hackers, that were ninja gummed because they had to be, because they were betrayed. And they have now this big group relation. And it's really nice to see that this is like a, it almost does feel like another season finale, but I'm not going to call this the season finale to season 2 yet, because I do think there is more to come. If anything, this might even be like the quote-unquote finale to season 1. Maybe season 1's 26 episodes. I've been thinking it's been Ninjala season 2 ever since episode 20, because episode 20 was so well done. I don't know. They don't really tell us what season is what, but I really like the explanation here of Ron finally telling Burton that, hey, I can't trust him anymore. I trusted him once, but he's absolutely up to no good, and he is mad with power. He needs to be stopped. So at this point, we have established our two groups. They're probably going to be working under our adult characters together are going to be working under Gen Ryusai, so I wouldn't be surprised if Ron and Jane have a conversation with Gen Ryusai at some point explaining, hey, we're in the same situation as Burton and Bereka, or even Burton and Bereka explain this to Gen Ryusai. And you get this gorgeous shot, although some of the character proportions here are a little bit off model. You get this gorgeous shot with the lighting behind the characters, and with the spacing of Bereka's face here and Burton's face. This is like the one shot. Even though the lighting in the back is really good, they're definitely off model. A little bit. They kind of fix it as their characters turn in proportions, and they kind of they switch angles. And they do fix it like the next shot. It definitely looks like someone went over and went like, hey, wait a minute, that's a little too wide. So a good fix there, and our episode ends like that. in the next episode, we're going to be starting what feels like a brand new arc of the Ninjala anime, because in the next episode preview, all those characters that we saw way back with the Space Ninja invasion on, you know, by the goddess statue, those characters are going to be reoccurring characters, and we're going to get introduced to those in the next episode of the Ninjala anime. So will I probably cover the next episode of the Ninjala anime? Most likely, I will be covering the next episode of the Ninjala anime, especially considering that the next episode is starting the actual Ninjala Championship. So the actual tournament series that we play in-game is finally going to be starting in the anime, which I thought it was starting a lot earlier, but no, it's starting now. We're going to get new characters, new introductions. It's going to be kind of a fun time. Maybe I'll cover it. I haven't really decided yet. I feel like this is a nice kind of spot in arc to close it off. I feel like I'll definitely be doing next week, though, because with all these new characters, there might be new lore speculation and stuff like that. But I honestly don't think I'm going to be covering too many more episodes unless we get like a big lore bombshell with Alan, Luke, the Oniwabanshu, and all that stuff happening. So if I don't cover next week, you guys know why. But of course, I would like to know what your guys' favorite part of this episode was down in the comments section below. And I would also like to thank you guys so much for supporting this series as long as it has been going on. It's been an absolute blast to cover these animated episodes every week. And like I said, while I might not have time to cover every episode anymore, or I have to slow down the episodes I do cover, I want to thank you guys so much for supporting the series as long as you have. But we have a lot of stuff to do. I have a lot of stuff to do, a lot of content I'd like to make otherwise. So if this is where we ended off on, thank you guys so much for all of that. And of course, if you guys enjoyed the video, I want you to do me all a favor one last time and hit that like and subscribe button for more awesome content like this on the channel. Again, I got a lot more awesome and amazing content coming for you guys that's not just Ninjala related, not just Ninjala anime related. I'm excited. I'm ready to go. And, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. And until then, I will see you guys in the next one. And this is CAJ Man 777 signing off. Stay safe, everybody.